It is time for the Writer's Block, our weekly look at sports. I'm Jenny Carlson here in the studios of the Oklahoman, joined by my good buddy Cedric Golden in the studios of the Austin American-Statesman. Hello, my friend.
What's up, Jed?
Hey, you know what? This is a unique week. Here we sit, still football season as the NFL continues to roll along into Super Bowl weekend next week, but we are actually going to start by not talking about football. We had to have, well, we had to, but a brawl broke out, a melee broke out at the end of the Kansas State game on Monday night, and that's what it takes to lead our show with something other than football right now, Cedric, but it was ugly. Suspensions handed down. Obviously, the big talking point around our neck of the woods being in the Big 12. What'd you make of the suspensions? Was it enough? Was it too much? What do you think about that?
In the area of Silvio De Souza, no. He should have been thrown off the team. Jen, he started it. You don't stand over a guy after a blocked shot when you're up 20 points in garbage time, and you haven't even been playing much lately. So you pull that crap, and then all of a sudden a brawl ensues. And you're spotted with a stool. You're about to hit somebody over the head with a stool, and if not for the assistant coach, you would have gotten an assault charge on top of all of that. So you're telling me 12 games is enough? No, I think he needs to be off the team, and I think Bill Self would be doing himself a favor to do that, because the penalties were the penalties, but you have to send a message that's just not going to be tolerated. And Jen, it happened in the handicapped section of that place, and there are people there that are not all mobile, ambulatory, and they're having to cover up because they're about to get hit by a bunch of 6'5", 230-pound human beings. It was an ugly scene.
Yeah, it sure was. And you're right. I think we're just extremely lucky that we're not talking about injuries, whether that be to players, coaches, staff that were trying to break things up. And then, as you mentioned, Cedric, the fans, that area of the courtside seating, which is used by mostly folks in wheelchairs, the fact that we don't have injuries coming out of that situation, to me, it really is lucky. That's the only word I can come up with, is just luck that it worked out that way, that nobody was injured in that whole thing. And, you know, I think there are some people that say the punishments were too much. I think you make a great argument that it wasn't enough, Cedric, but they had to be fairly severe. And, you know, 12 games, 8 games, some of those suspensions handed down, pretty serious when you look at, you know, how many games remain on the schedule. People have to know that sort of thing is not gonna be allowed. And Cedric, you know, when you think about all the things that have happened in Allen Fieldhouse over the decades, all the great games, all the fantastic moments. I mean, you can ask, 100 college basketball fans, and they'll probably point to something different that's happened at Allen Fieldhouse. That's how storied a place that is. But what happened Monday night, that's part of the history now too. That can't be erased, and you know that's something that the Kansas basketball has to live with, even with the suspensions. You know, I think that since that Malice in the Palace brawl between the Pacers and the Pistons back in 2004, there hasn't been anything like this. And now we've got our latest and unfortunate moment in basketball history. Cedric, I don't think it's going to become a trend, for crying out loud. I mean, we haven't seen a ton of these over the years, but boy, there's not much great about college basketball this year. You don't have great teams. You don't have a Zion Williamson. And now this is the biggest thing in college basketball. Not great for college basketball.
Yes, lacking in star power, and very rarely do you see a big college basketball game leading Sports Center. It's usually the NFL. It's usually something like that, even the NBA, when LeBron and one of the other superstars are squaring off. So it wasn't much of a game. I was out with friends. I was out with Kirk Bowles and Mark Rosner, some old colleagues of yours, and we're enjoying a nice dinner out, and we look up, and we're in a sports bar, so the game's on. There's lots of screens and stuff, and we look, someone goes, "Oh my God," and we look up, and then there are just it's a melee, it's
Yeah.
a brawl, and it's the ugliest side of college basketball. Something that we don't normally see. You don't see college basketball players throwing down like that.
No.
It just doesn't happen. It happens in the NBA, and it happens in hockey, of course, and it happens in football, but it doesn't happen
No.
in college basketball. So I was surprised to see that. I'm glad they had levied some heavy penalties, but as far as the perpetrator, the instigator of it all,
Yeah.
I don't think he should be allowed to wear a college basketball uniform again.
Yeah.
He's run afoul of the rules before, and now here he is inciting what was basically a near riot.
Yeah. Yeah, and you talk about, this was obviously a rivalry game, Kansas State, but Cedric, I mean, there are rivalries everywhere in college sports, everywhere in sports, and we don't, you don't see Sooners and Cowboys or Sooners and Longhorns or Wolverines and Buckeyes. You don't see them holding, stools, chairs over their heads, getting ready to wallop somebody. Most of these rivalries, as heated as they get, we never see anything like this. So, Cedric, for anybody that wants to say, well, it's a rivalry and emotions run high, I'm not buying that because, we saw as close to anything getting physical in the OU Texas football game this last year, Cedric, in the pregame. Unsportsmanlike penalties thrown on everybody. They went into the game before the game even started with a penalty. But, even at that was just talking and pushing and shoving.
That's football.
Heated rivalries don't get to that level, Cedric. I mean, let's be honest. Even in football, it doesn't get to that level.
Yeah, and that's football, and those guys are going to be hitting each other pretty soon. So they don't have to resort to fisticuffs. They know if you come over the middle and you were talking that stuff pregame, you're going to see me. I'm going to be waiting for you over the middle. Those are the kind of things that get handled between the lines. The thing that I hated about this, Jen, was that game was decided.
Yeah.
It was already well decided, and all that was left was dribbling out the clock and shaking hands, and I'll see you in Manhattan next time we play.
Yeah.
Instead, it turned into something ugly. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, very much so. Well, we'll continue to follow that. There may be more fallout. I think the suspensions are probably the end of it, but you never know. We'll continue to follow that.